Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Around the Table GTA, and we're getting back into the mix of things. This episode is going to be talking about forcing things, and yeah, that's basically it. I haven't made a couple of episodes in a while, mainly because I didn't want to force anything. When you try to force yourself to do something, it's not as enjoyable. Even the things that you do enjoy, you won't enjoy as much if it feels forced. This is not a job, this is a hobby. So it's good to have it balanced out because when you make a hobby kind of like a job where you feel forced to an extent, then it's not as enjoyable. And even I've been looking at my life recently and all the things that I've kind of like forced in the past. And it's just like, you know what? I can't do that. I'm at an age in my life or even like a mindset in my life where we have to remember that not everything's going to work out. Not everything's going to work out the way that you want. And as much as you want something to go a certain way, it's not always going to happen that way. And that's fine. But we need to know when to just leave it and to move on or just to give it a rest for a bit. And then you could get your groove back, just kind of like the Emperor. So yeah, that's basically it. That's a summary of the whole episode. But initially, that's just the message, right? We need to know when it's time to do what we need to do, and we have to figure out when we need to force something, right? There's certain changes that we need in our life, and if we don't push ourselves, then we can't move forward. But at times, we have to realize when we can't force ourselves, when you're tired, um, when you're not being yourself because you want to get something done or do something to the point that it's destroying aspects of you. That's when you need to stop and think, hey, how important is this goal that I'm reaching for? What am I destroying to make this happen? And is it going to be worth it in the end? A lot of things that we do, we have a vision of ourselves or a vision for ourselves to be in a certain light or in a certain aspect. But sometimes we fail to realize how it affects everybody around us. Um, I always jump back to this topic where um, the generations before me had a term called "it's a dog eat dog world," right? And for that kind of sentiment, or even to have that mindset, everybody has to follow that mindset for it to be accurate. And as we see with uh, Generation Z and millennials to an extent, we don't necessarily subscribe to that thought because we've been doing things differently and it's been affecting the world in different ways. But you have to know when it's time for you to take it, as in go for it, or when it's time to take it back, as in like turn it down a notch. I have a couple of episodes in the bank in my head, and I do have some hidden episodes that I'm going to upload while I'm in this kind of like slump of episodes. But I needed to get something out there to get the ball rolling because that's the only way you could get ahead of yourself or proceed. Because even like today, the word of the day is repetition, right? And for you to get better at something, you have to repeat it. That's why we have the term practice makes perfect. But no one really is perfect in this world. But to achieve near perfect, you need to be consistent, right? And just because you take a break, that doesn't matter. it's the point of getting back on that journey. Even today, I've woken up very early. I've had the mindset to make sure that um, I get back into a certain um, routine, right? And routine is also another word for repetition to an extent, because when you have a routine, which I've talked about previously, it helps you set up a goal or even like a map to where you want to get to. And with a routine, it doesn't necessarily feel forced. It's a guideline for you to get to from point A to point B, or however many points you have in your outline. For me, I've been a little bit discouraged because I do have a shoulder problem right now. And because of that shoulder problem, I'm in physio. And because of that, I can't do what I need to do to get to the goal that I want to get to. And it's thrown me off completely to the point where I've just been like, oh, there's so much stuff that I need to do, but I can't do it. I can't force it. Like my shoulder is pretty bad where I can't lift more than 5 pounds. And, I'm still trying to get in shape for my cosplay and I have a couple of months till the event. But if I force myself to lift more weight than I need to, it's only going to make things worse for me in the long run. So I have to be patient. And that's a thing that I think people forget, especially when they're trying to be ambitious. They forget that everything is a process and it does take time. You could force a lot of things to make things go a little bit quicker, but it can be destructive, right? That's why um, when you do things naturally, for the most part, it's not going to affect you as much, right? Like, let's say you want to gain weight. If you take certain medicine to make you bigger faster, it's going to affect your body. Whatever those chemicals are, they're going to affect certain parts of your body. It's the same thing if you're um, working out and you want to get big fast and you start using random steroids. It's not the best way to achieve your goal, but it's definitely the fastest way to achieve your goal. But you're forcing yourself to get into another situation that may be uh, a permanent damage to yourself, right? So we all have to remember that forcing things isn't necessarily the greatest way to do stuff. And sometimes we need to take a break to make sure that we're getting back on the same track. Recently, I've changed my setup. Like right now, I'm in a different setup, and I've even split things up where I have two setups, and plus I have the road setup. So, um, yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. I still got to edit the first guest episode of the year. I'm expecting to have potentially two more guest episodes soon. One's from a long-time listener and someone that I did run into at work. Um, I'm going to give you guys a bit of a spoiler, but it's going to be more of a food episode, also a business episode as well. So hopefully you guys tune in for that. And I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Take care.